Facetious as adjective. Light-hearted or whimsical in tone, intended to entertain or make people laugh. Playful or jokingly humorous, often in a way that is not meant to be taken seriously. His facetious comment during the serious meeting was not appreciated. She made a facetious remark about the politician, which caused some laughter. The comedian's facetious humor made the audience laugh throughout the show. The student's facetious attitude towards his studies resulted in poor grades. The reporter's facetious tone in her article was not appropriate for the topic. Hodgepodge as noun. A mixture or medley of different things, a jumbled assortment. A stew made of various ingredients, typically leftovers. The meal was a hodgepodge of different dishes. The garden was a hodgepodge of various plants. The room was a hodgepodge of mismatched furniture. The film was a hodgepodge of different genres. The group was a hodgepodge of people from different backgrounds. Importune as verb. To beg or implore insistently and annoyingly. To harass or trouble with persistent requests or demands. The salesman would importune potential customers until they made a purchase. The charity organization would importune donors for contributions. The job seeker would importune employers with follow-up calls and emails. The artist would importune gallery owners for a chance to exhibit their work. The journalist would importune sources for information to break a news story. Inanity as noun. Absurdity or foolishness, especially as a result of being senseless or irrational. The state or condition of being insane or mentally unsound. The movie was criticized for its inanity, with many viewers finding it shallow and lacking substance. The book was panned by critics for its inanity, with many pointing out the lack of character development and poor writing. The speech was filled with inanity and failed to address any of the key issues. I couldn't stand the inanity of the conversation and had to excuse myself from the party. The article was dismissed as an inanity and received little attention. Irk as verb. To cause annoyance, frustration, or boredom. To tire or weary by being too persistent, repeated, or dull.
The noise from the construction site was beginning to irk the neighbors.
The constant interruptions were beginning to irk the speaker. The fact that he was always late began to irk his boss. It irks me when people don't clean up after themselves. The teacher's habit of interrupting the students' work irked them. Lampoon as noun. A satirical or humorous criticism or attack on a person, institution, or society, often in writing or speech. A work or piece of writing that uses satire or humor to criticize or attack. The satirical magazine included a lampoon of the president in its latest issue. The comedian's lampoon of the politicians had the audience laughing hysterically. The song was a lampoon of the latest fashion trends. The writer's lampoon of the celebrity was widely criticized for being mean-spirited. The lampoon of the company's CEO led to his resignation. Lampoon as verb. To criticize or attack someone or something using satire or humor. To make fun of or mock in a humorous or satirical way. The satirical magazine regularly lampoons politicians and celebrities. The comedy sketch show lampooned popular TV shows and movies. The stand-up comedian lampooned current events and societal norms. The newspaper editorial lampooned the mayor's latest proposal. The cartoonist lampooned the corporate world in a series of witty illustrations. Litany as noun. A form of prayer consisting of a series of invocations or petitions, often repeated. A long and tedious recitation or list of complaints, problems, or requests. The priest recited a litany of prayers during the service. The politician delivered a litany of promises during his campaign speech. The writer included a litany of complaints about the poor state of public transportation. The employee recited a litany of grievances to the HR representative. The doctor recited a litany of warning signs that patients should be aware of. Mawkish as adjective, often to the point of being cloying or sickly, something that is sentimental in an exaggerated or false way. The greeting card's mawkish message of love and devotion made the recipient cringe with embarrassment. The author's attempt to create a heartwarming ending to the story resulted in a mawkish and predictable conclusion. The singer's mawkish rendition of the national anthem drew ridicule and criticism from the crowd. The art exhibit's mawkish paintings of kittens and puppies failed to impress the art critics. The movie was criticized for its mawkish sentimentality, which many viewers found overly manipulative and insincere. Melancholy as noun, a feeling of nostalgia or wistfulness for a past time or place, a state or condition of sadness, depression, or dejection. He sought solace in his melancholy, spending long hours alone in quiet reflection. Listening to sad music can sometimes evoke feelings of melancholy. She was overcome by a deep sense of melancholy after the death of her father. His paintings were filled with a sense of melancholy and longing. The novel was a study of the human condition, exploring themes of love, loss, and melancholy. Melancholy as adjective, a state or condition of feeling sad, depressed, or dejected, someone who is pensive, introspective, or lost in thought, often in a sad or contemplative way. The old photographs in the attic filled her with a bittersweet sense of melancholy as she reminisced about the past. The empty house had a melancholy air about it, as if it were still mourning the loss of its previous occupants. She was struck by a melancholy feeling as she watched the sun set over the ocean. The melancholy strains of the violin added to the already somber mood of the funeral. He couldn't shake off the melancholy that had been weighing on him for days, despite his best efforts to stay positive. Mellifluous as adjective, honey-like, sweet or smooth. The music was so mellifluous that it put the baby to sleep. The mellifluous sound of the harp filled the room. Her voice was so mellifluous that everyone listened to her. The bird's mellifluous singing calmed her down. The cello's mellifluous tones evoked strong emotions in the audience. Noisome as adjective, harmful, poisonous, or toxic, having a strong and unpleasant odor. The noisome odor of the garbage made it difficult to breathe. The noisome fumes from the factory were polluting the air and causing health problems. The noisome swamp was a breeding ground for mosquitoes and other disease-carrying insects. The noisome condition of the public restroom made it unpleasant for anyone to use. The noisome reputation of the town as a crime-ridden area deterred tourists from visiting. Perpetuate as verb, to cause something to continue indefinitely or to keep something alive or in existence, to preserve or extend the life of something, such as a tradition or custom. The group seeks to perpetuate the memory of their ancestors by holding an annual memorial event. The wealthy family perpetuates their social status by ensuring their children attend prestigious schools. The company perpetuated the idea that their product was environmentally friendly, despite evidence to the contrary. The government's lack of action will only perpetuate the economic crisis. Some cultures perpetuate harmful stereotypes about women that need to be challenged. Rankle as verb, to cause an irritation or wound to fester, become inflamed, or worsen over time, to produce an irritated or annoyed feeling in someone, to cause resentment or bitterness. The way he treated me still rankles, even though it happened years ago. His criticism of her work continued to rankle her, even weeks later. The injustice of the situation rankled him, and he resolved to take action. The insult from his colleague rankled him to the point that he could no longer work with her. The memory of the defeat rankled him for years, driving him to train harder and come back stronger. Splenetic as adjective. Irritable, bad-tempered, or easily annoyed, marked by or characterized by anger or ill humor. The boss's splenetic outburst frightened his subordinates. The splenetic comments of the critic showed his bias and lack of objectivity. The splenetic reaction of the audience to the performer's mistake was unexpected. The splenetic tone of the email offended the recipient. The splenetic behavior of the driver towards other drivers caused a road rage incident. Undermine as verb. To damage or sabotage someone's position, authority, or reputation. To weaken, erode, or diminish the strength, stability, or effectiveness of something. The CEO's public criticism of his team members undermined their confidence. The virus undermined the economy and led to job losses. His lack of attention to detail undermined the project's success. The company's decision to outsource jobs undermined its commitment to local employment. The bad reviews online undermined the restaurant's reputation. Upbraid as verb. To express dissatisfaction, disappointment, or disapproval in a harsh or critical manner. To scold, rebuke, or reprimand someone harshly. Jane upbraided her sister for borrowing her dress without permission. The coach upbraided the players for their lack of effort during the game. The boss upbraided the employee for being consistently late to work. The teacher upbraided the student for plagiarizing their essay. The customer upbraided the waiter for bringing the wrong order. Vicissitude as noun. A change or variation occurring in the course of something, alternating or successive changes of fortune or circumstances. The stock market is known for its vicissitudes, with prices constantly fluctuating. The writer's life was filled with ups and downs, including many vicissitudes. The company has experienced many financial vicissitudes over the years. The coach helped the team navigate the vicissitudes of a long and difficult season. The artist's work reflects the vicissitudes of life and the human condition. Cadaverous as adjective. Having the appearance of a dead body, especially a pale, emaciated, and corpse-like appearance, relating to a corpse or dead body. The old man's face was cadaverous, with sunken eyes and hollow cheeks. The patient's skin was cadaverous, with a pale and sickly complexion. The abandoned house had a cadaverous look, with cobwebs and dust covering every surface. The actor used makeup to create a cadaverous appearance for their role as a zombie in the movie.
The sound of the wind howling through the empty streets gave the city a cadaverous feel.
Countermand as verb. Cancel or reverse a previous order or command, nullify or make void a previous directive or decision. The general countermanded the order to attack and ordered the troops to retreat. The governor issued an executive order to countermand the decision of the city council. The president of the company countermanded the decision of the lower-level manager and changed the product launch date. The judge countermanded the previous ruling and granted a new trial based on new evidence. The airline had to countermand the flight due to bad weather conditions. Countermand as noun. An order that cancels or reverses a previous order or command. The act of canceling or reversing a previous order or command. The CEO issued a countermand to the previous directive, changing the company's policy on remote work. The judge issued a countermand to the arrest warrant, ruling that the evidence was insufficient to detain the suspect. The general gave a countermand to the troops, ordering them to retreat and regroup. The government issued a countermand to the travel ban, allowing certain individuals to enter the country despite the restrictions. The union issued a countermand to the strike, calling off the protest and negotiating a new contract with the employer. Curmudgeon as noun, a bad-tempered, difficult, or surly person. A person who is persistently ill-tempered, grumpy, or irritable. My grandfather can be a bit of a curmudgeon, but deep down, he's a kind and loving person. The old man who lived next door was a grumpy curmudgeon who never smiled or said hello. The teacher was known as a curmudgeon who was strict and inflexible with his students. The author's character was a curmudgeon who was always complaining and finding fault with everything. The restaurant's head chef was a curmudgeon who ruled the kitchen with an iron fist. Decry as verb, to criticize or denounce publicly and vehemently, to express strong disapproval of or condemn something. Some parents decry the amount of violence in video games. The opposition party was quick to decry the new tax proposal. Many activists decry the use of fossil fuels as a major contributor to climate change. Critics decry the lack of diversity in the entertainment industry. Many people decry the rise of hate speech on social media. Duplicity as noun, the act of being deceitful, untruthful, or two-faced. It refers to the act of being insincere and pretending to have beliefs, opinions, or feelings that one does not actually have. The politician's duplicity was exposed when he was caught lying to the public. The company was sued for duplicity in advertising their product as organic when it contained synthetic ingredients. She saw through his duplicity and realized he was only pretending to be her friend. The novel's plot was full of duplicity and deceit. The detective uncovered a web of duplicity in the company's financial records. Eponym as noun, a person or thing after whom a discovery, invention, or other item is named, a word or name used to describe or identify something, based on the name of a person, place, or thing. Sandwich is an eponym named after John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich. The term boycott is an eponym named after Charles Boycott, a British land agent. Diesel engines are an eponym named after Rudolf Diesel, who invented them in the late 19th century. The word dunce is an eponym named after John Duns Scotus, a medieval philosopher. Mesmerize is an eponym named after Franz Mesmer, an 18th century physician who developed a theory of animal magnetism. Equivocate as verb, to be deliberately vague or unclear in order to avoid giving a definite answer or making a commitment, to use ambiguous or unclear language in order to deceive or mislead others. The politician tried to equivocate when asked about his stance on gun control. She equivocated when asked if she had seen the missing document. The suspect equivocated when asked about his whereabouts on the night of the crime.
The defendant equivocated during her testimony, and the prosecutor accused her of lying.
The employee equivocated when asked about the missing funds. Exasperate as verb, to irritate, annoy, or make someone angry, to make a situation or condition more difficult or unpleasant. The constant noise from the construction site was exasperating the neighbors. The difficult math problem was exasperating the student. The long wait at the DMV was starting to exasperate her. His lack of punctuality always exasperated his boss. The customer's rude behavior only exasperated the already stressed-out server. Exorbitant as adjective, extremely high or unreasonable in amount or cost, far beyond what is reasonable or fair. The rent for the apartment was exorbitant, given its small size and location. The exorbitant price of the concert tickets made it difficult for many fans to attend. The company's CEO received an exorbitant bonus despite the firm's poor performance. The cost of healthcare in the United States is often exorbitant compared to other countries. The restaurant's menu had exorbitant prices for its dishes. Expurgate as verb, To purify or cleanse a text or document of any offensive or undesirable content. To remove or censor parts of a text or document that are considered offensive, inappropriate, or damaging. The censored version of the movie had been expurgated for public viewing. The teacher had to expurgate the inappropriate content from the student's essay. The historian expurgated the biased information from the research paper. The publisher had to expurgate the explicit scenes from the novel. The government agency expurgated the confidential information from the report. Gainsay as verb. To challenge or contest the accuracy of a statement or claim, to dispute or contest a decision or ruling. The evidence presented in court was too strong to be gainsaid. The company's financial report cannot be gainsaid, it clearly shows a loss. I cannot gainsay the fact that she is a talented singer. He tried to gainsay my argument, but I had solid evidence to back it up. There is no gainsaying the importance of education in one's life. Gerrymander as verb. Divide a political area in a biased manner. Redraw political boundaries for political advantage. The ruling party gerrymandered the electoral boundaries to ensure they would win the next election. The school district was accused of gerrymandering to keep certain students out of certain schools. The politicians were criticized for gerrymandering the districts in a way that would benefit them and their party. The group of citizens sued the government for gerrymandering the voting districts and infringing on their right to fair representation. The practice of gerrymandering is controversial and has been the subject of much debate and legal action. Grovel as verb. To behave in a subservient or excessively humble manner, especially in order to seek forgiveness, favor, or mercy from someone. The politician was criticized for groveling to wealthy donors for campaign contributions. I refuse to grovel to anyone for my own success. I want to earn it on my own terms. She had to grovel on the ground to search for her lost earring. The dog would grovel and wag its tail whenever its owner returned home. He had to grovel and apologize to his boss to avoid getting fired.